Welcome to another week of the Expert Talks podcast. This is Leo Jimenez, and I use my role as CEO at Go for Click to invite training experts from large companies to share their experiences and good practices to inspire others to innovate. Today, we are going to talk with Keith Mayerson. He has an extensive experience in talent development and learning, and he has responsible for end-to-end talent management in different companies and different sectors. He has implemented numerous learning management systems. Also, he is responsible for introducing the first use of e-learning at Tiffany & Co. Welcome, Keith, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Leo. I'm looking forward to this.
So tell us, who are you and which is your company?
So my company's Powder, which owns and operates ski resorts and adventure parks. So we consider ourselves an adventure lifestyle organization, and our goal is to inspire everyone with cool experiences and awesome places. So it's a really cool organization and a lot of great people doing a lot of great things. I've been doing learning and talent for longer than I'd like to admit to. And I've been with various organizations, and I've also been on the consulting side. So a lot of variety in what I've done, which has given me a real interesting perspective. I never look at things as a cookie cutter. I always have to find unique solutions to similar problems because every organization and every challenge is unique. So it's been fun.
Perfect. Thank you again. So we will talk about a topic that may generate an special interest in our audience. At least for me, it's super interesting topic. How to extract the most value from cohort-based courses, for example, the participant rate and the asynchronicity. For example, everyone goes by themselves, right? At the same time, how can we do this mixture?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge, and I came across it in my current organization because we recognized that there was a need for consistency in our leadership and management behaviors across the enterprise, because we're made up of various business units across North America that all have their own culture and their own flavor. But if we're looking at career pathing and succession planning, we need to have a common language and common expectations of accountability and behaviors. So my challenge was, how do I do that across 4 or 5 time zones on people that don't want to come down off a mountain and sit in a classroom, but at the same time, we didn't want to lose the experience of social learning and peer-to-peer learning. I mean, to me, learning isn't just taking an e-learning course. Learning is the transition of knowledge into performance ability. So in order to do that, not only do people need to receive the knowledge, they need to practice, they need to reflect, they need to apply, they need to fail, they need to learn and try again. So how do we accomplish this, given all of those challenges, was a really interesting project to undertake.
It's really interesting. So what was the innovation in this leadership program that you implement?
I think for me, it was providing a way to replicate that classroom experience. You know, you have an instructor give information, and then typically you may break out into tabletop groups, or you may do role plays or case studies, but people are learning from each other and they're talking and discussing. So we found technology embedded within an LMS that allows people to upload videos of themselves responding to whether it's a prompt that we're asking as part of the program, or it's an activity where they have to actually do something with the knowledge they've given. Then they actually can provide or receive feedback from their peers. But the really cool thing is, you know, I could do this today and upload my video, and then a couple days from now, you can do it and upload your video. And then I could go back in and give you feedback, and you can give me feedback. Or even more fun, uh, there's an AI component. So we can give immediate feedback with the AI. So, our initial program, we have over 600 people going through the program. I have one program manager. There's no way he would be able to provide individualized feedback to over 600 people. Well, now we can through the AI. It's a force multiplier. So it allows us to replicate the classroom experience. It allows us to maintain that social peer-to-peer learning. And it allows us to creatively use some emerging technologies, which people are finding very exciting as well.
Nice. The social learning and peer-to-peer learning is our first. It's go to the basics, right? It's quite important to understand the role of peer-to-peer learning, even in e-learning, even in a technology environment. Yeah. What were the results that you achieved in this particular program?
So we're running it in two phases. The first phase was a pilot phase we ran with 3 of our business units, which started in March, and it's still going through right now. I think we're in module 4 of an 8-module program. And we use that to iterate as we go. So we're getting a lot of feedback from the participants about what's working, what's not working, and it's influencing the design of our program. So we're building the car as it's going down the highway, but it's actually a better way to do it because these participants in the pilot feel an ownership to the program. And it's very important to me that the participants see how relative the content is to their day-to-day. It's not just theoretical classroom training and they don't know how to apply it or how it works back on the job. So they actually have a practical hand in shaping it. We then launched last month the program to the rest of the organization. So about another over 300 people that are now reaping the benefits of the insight we received from the pilot group. We're getting some anecdotal feedback and testimonies from participants about things they never knew before, because like most organizations, we're not unique in leadership development. Most organizations unfortunately promote really good individual contributors and then wonder why they're terrible supervisors. We've never provided them the expectations, we've never provided them the training. So that's why leadership development is $1 billion industry, because we're retroactively trying to fix what we created, the issues that we created. So people, whether they're a brand new supervisor or they've been supervising for 15 years, the feedback is, this is great stuff. I didn't realize some of the concepts and how to apply it, because again, we're just not leaving it up to their imagination. We're framing activities and experiences so they're required to go apply the knowledge, reflect on its value, redirect what they're doing, receive peer-to-peer feedback. And people are starting to turn the corner, realizing this isn't a check the box exercise that they could just race through a program. We're very intentional about the learning experience.
You know that you read my mind, because my following question was, how did your audience receive the opportunity to be creator of knowledge? It's not a common approach in e-learning industry, right? And in our experience, that would be the most impact, I don't know, part of the program. What was your experience with your audience? How did you receive this different approach, even in a leadership target, right?
I think it varies based on people's experience and expectation and interest in the program. Some people really want to develop. Other people came into this program thinking, I've been managing people for 15 years. What are you going to teach me? And we've seen that. I mean, we've had general managers actually say, the person that was most resistant to the program is now the biggest supporter, because they actually had to admit they've learned things that they didn't know before, which to me is great. I don't want people to sit through training and bang their head against the wall saying, why am I here? How is this relevant? So I think giving them an opportunity to make the impact. And, one of the first things we found, I didn't think people wanted to be inundated with too much information. So we were very specific in the content we delivered. But the feedback we got was, I went down a rabbit hole because that e-learning forced me to go listen to a podcast, which forced me to go read a book because this topic really interests me. Can you please provide more resources? So now what we've done with every module we launch, we basically do a search in the LMS. We aggregate the relevant content for them, and we put it on a link so then they could find it easier. It's optional. We found that even though asynchronous works because it reflects the realities of business, right? Not everyone's going to be able to meet at this day and this time. We wanted to reflect the realities of, we still have a day job. We still have to service our customers. And I think everyone enjoyed the fact that this allowed them to do that at their own pace and their own time. So it's been overall, I think it's been a very positive experience.
Really nice. And what about you? What lesson did you get of this program?
I think a couple. So we intentionally started this program with first and second level people leaders. First level being the initial supervisors that manage individual contributors, the second level being their managers. Now, that was different than anything I've ever done because I've always started with executive development and we've kind of trickled down through the organization. So one of the things I knew I needed to do up front was create a manager's toolkit, kind of a cheat sheet for the executive team who wasn't going through the classroom and really was vocal that they were kind of blind. They weren't really aware of what their people were learning and how they could support it. So I think the manager's toolkit has been a great support mechanism. It's just getting them out of the comfort zone of their people are knowing things before they know them, which is a challenging dynamic. So that part was interesting. From the learner perspective, we've had a lot of challenges because people don't like to record themselves on video for others to see. And again, we've learned as we go. So initially it was this peer-to-peer video feedback, and we got some feedback from the participants saying, I'm really uncomfortable. And my response was, well, if you're in a classroom, you're visible. It's the same thing, right? It's how we're replicating that peer-to-peer interaction. But we took their concerns to heart, and then we moved over to the AI feedback where their peers aren't seeing their videos, only the AI sees their videos. So now it's even more of a safe space for them to practice and make mistakes and keep trying until they get it right, and then submit their video for approval and things of that nature. So I think those are kind of different things I didn't expect that we're learning from.
Perfect, Keith. And the last question is a kind of bonus track. What is your opinion about the future of e-learning? Is the community-first learning experience the future of e-learning? What do you think?
I'm going to give you the consultant's answer, which is it depends. I think e-learning is always going to have a place in L&D, and I think it's very relevant when we talk about highly regulated industries and compliance, HR and ethics, IT security, fintech, things like that that need to be consistently applied. Frequent launches. If you're in banking, you're taking training every month or every quarter, depending upon the organization. But I still think it's a miss because it's a check the box exercise. When I was in financial services, we created the training, but everyone knew the answers because they've been in banking 10, 15, 20 years. So they're just whipping through the content. It's not demonstrating any learning. It's just validating they already know the content. No one's really learning from the e-learning. So I think for me, and that's why we built our program the way we did, we have there's 3 phases in each of our modules. The first phase is 2 weeks of knowledge, and that could be through an e-learning, it could be through a podcast, it could be through a TED Talk, and that's just getting the information to the people. The second phase, which is 3 weeks, is an activity, and that gives them the chance to practice what we've just learned in a safe space, either peer-to-peer or with the AI. And then the third phase, which is another 3 weeks, is okay, you learned it, you practiced it, guess what? We want you to go do it now. And to me, when we talk about blended learning, I think that's the epitome of blended learning. We're never going to, I could take an e-learning on heart surgery. You don't want to give me a knife, right? It's just scary. So why would we think in any other setting that just because somebody scored 100 on a 5-question assessment at the end of a 10-minute e-learning, that person is going to be able to do anything with that knowledge? So I think there's always going to be a place from a compliance perspective. I think there's always a place from a consistent application and when you're trying to scale. But I think we need to challenge ourselves as L&D practitioners to be more creative and to really understand how adults learn. It's crazy, but it's going back to the fundamentals. Instructional designers, they don't just make pretty PowerPoints. They need to understand really the theory and application of adult learning and how they put that into practice. So it's always a fun conversation when we talk to peers about the design of these programs.
Totally, Keith. Really, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking with you. If you want to close this conversation with some quote, it's your time.
Oh, I don't have any suitable L&D quotes. Actually, there's one I heard recently. It's about, I'm going to slaughter this. It's something about you're never going to start to fail unless you fail to start, which to me means you need to take risks, you need to try. And that's why, to me, it's important to provide a safe learning environment for people to be okay with ambiguity and chaos and gray and mistakes, because that's how they're going to learn. But they need to get involved. They need to roll up their sleeves. They need to actually put themselves out there and try rather than just go through the motions from a compliance perspective.
Thank you.